So, welcome everyone on this Sunday Live. Today, we will be doing the switch function, the match function, the index function, and the lookup function, XLOOKUP function. So, see, okay, so here we are. So, all set now. So, all set. Okay, so let's start with the today's lesson on the switch function, match function, index function, and XLOOKUP function. Now, these four functions primarily are in the family of lookup functions. So, in all these functions, we need to look for the external table or data outside of our existing data and then get an answer. In this example over here that we're looking at, the sheet right now, what we're seeing here is a rate table over here. We got a rate table here and we got some name of the people. They have their rating and I am converting their ratings into numerical score using the using the VLOOKUP function over here. So we are converting there. If the rating is fair, yeah, I should get an answer 71. So I'm using a VLOOKUP function in this exact match nature. So I'm matching those rating exactly the way it is. So fair means 71, satisfactory means 78, and good means 85, and excellent means 99. So this is how this is working right now. We got a VLOOKUP function. Now this rate table can be on this sheet, it can be on a different sheet, it can be on a different file altogether. It can be anywhere. In our example, it's on the same sheet. And we got some name of the people. Now this list can be fairly large. We have about maybe few of those here. But it doesn't matter how long the list is. Now what we see here is that in the switch, not in the VLOOKUP function, we are looking for this rating in this rate table and getting an answer from the right side of it. And let's say if we have something which is not a part of this rating, we might not get an answer because it is matching the rating exactly the way it is. And any changes here will obviously will impact the answer here. Now, if I remove something from it, keep an eye on this table. If I remove something from here, let's say I remove good here, I'll start getting not applicable as an error. How about satisfactory? I'll not be able to get an answer because it's not there. Now we understand the problem here. It is that in case if you make any changes in the rate table or in the original source where you are taking out the information, you might end up getting some errors. Now with the introduction of switch function, it's a relatively new function in the family functions. Now switch function is it's a new function. Now what happens here in the switch function, we build this rate table inside of the switch function. Now we build the rate table in the switch function itself. So there is no matter of going anything goes bad. So let's take a look at that. How will it work? I'm going to type here switch. So on this occasion only, I'm going to make this wider and making it, I'm going to zoom in a bit so we can see the formula carefully. So what we are going to do here is we'll start with the switch. And as soon as you type in SW, you'll see a balloon tip. It tells you what the formula is about. Now over here, it says evaluates an expression against a list of values and return the corresponding to the first matching value. And if there is no match, an optional value is returned. Now, it evaluates an expression. Where is the expression? Expression can be anything. Expression can be anything. Now, if I activate that, now what is the expression? Expression can be anything. In our example, the expression will be the rating. What is the rating? Now, over here, in E2, what is the value of E2? If the value of E2 is, allow a minute. So I'm going to type here the switch function, which we are going to try now. So equal switch. What is the expression? The expression is, where is the expression? So expression is in E2. What is the value of E2? Now, if the value of E2 can be anything. In our example, E2 is written right now is fair, but we will be taking whatever value is there in E2. It doesn't matter. Expression is whatever value is in this cell, in the cell E2. Whatever is there written in E2. If it is written, the value in E2, if it is written as, in double quotes, we're going to type in excellent. And it doesn't have to be case sensitive. Excellent. Then the result. Now value 1, result 1, value 2, result 2. And can goes up to maybe 126 or 127. So if it is written, if anything is written in E2, if it is excellent, you get me an answer 99. If it is written very good, you get me an answer 92. If it is written good, you get me an answer 85. If it is written satisfactory, get me an answer 78. If it is fair, goods, you get me an answer 71. If it is poor, you get me an answer 65. Now, it also says value 7 or default or value 7 or result 7. So for everything else, I want to say if it is poor, you give me 65. For everything else, whatever is there, you give me 50. So I'm not going to type in fail there, but if other than all these items, if anything else you write, I'll only get 50 number. And I'm going to close this parentheses, press enter, I'll get the same answer, 71. And in Excel, we type formula only once and then we copy. And I'm going to copy this down and we get all the answers are the same, 71, 78, 78. Now the benefit is, and you might say, okay, sir, what is the benefit of this one? So we are already getting the answer there using VLOOKUP. So why do I use switch function instead of a VLOOKUP function? So well, the idea is pretty simple. If I change something here, let's say I remove satisfactory here, you may not get an answer here, but it doesn't matter in switch function because we built this rate table inside of this function. We have built the rate table in that function only. The table is right here. This is the table. And of course, yes, it has you got a lot of typing to do. And whenever you want to use a switch function, it has to be a smaller function, uh, small table, not a big table. So I'm going to expose this for you for a moment. And I'm going to put this right here. So you can watch it carefully. So what we have done here is we have done the same thing. If it is excellent, you give me 99. It is very good, you give me 90. So this rate table is here. And I'm not looking for an external data. And that's the benefit, that we don't look for external data in the switch function. So we build the rate table in the function itself. And whenever you want to do it, of course, it has to be a small table. And let's say if I have something not very good, if I have lousy, I will not get an answer here because lousy doesn't exist here. But I'll get 50 here because for everything else, the answer has to be 50. The default value is 50. Even it is lousy, or maybe if I say FIAL, I mistyped it. So I'll still get 50. So I'm going to undo that. So remember, switch function is a powerful function used in conjunction with the VLOOKUP. When you don't want to use the VLOOKUP, or you don't have the ability to use VLOOKUP function, let's say this numbers are over here on the other side like this. So this VLOOKUP will not work, but switch will keep on working. So, or when you don't want to get into the problem of looking up into an external data, when your rate table is an external file, you don't want to use this VLOOKUP function. Instead, rather you want to use a switch function. So you can use switch function or VLOOKUP function. You decide, whatever makes you happy. Your answer would remain the same. Another example of a switch function over here is, now we got some dates out there, and we have suddenly used the choose function over there. And the last week we have we saw how we used the roundup function. We still was converting those months into the quarters. Now what we are looking at over here is we are converting using a choose function and converting those months into the quarters, respective quarter. We can also achieve this using a switch function. We can get an answer. But switch function may not be as helpful as the choose function is. But let's see an example with the switch function. So I'm going to use the switch function over here. So equal switch. What is the expression? The expression is the month from this state. So first I need to take a month from this date. This is a date. How do I take a month from this date? Equal month. This is the date. It will give me an answer 12. Now this will be my expression, because this value can be anything. We got 12 different combinations there. So I'm going to switch it. Switch whatever is there in K2, whatever value we're getting by using this function. Whatever value we're getting by this function. If that value is 1, I get an answer 1. If that value is 2, I get an answer 1. If that value is 3, I get an answer 1. If that value is 4, I get an answer 2, second quarter. 5th, second quarter. 6th, second quarter. 7th, third quarter. 8th, third quarter. 9th, third quarter. And we don't want to use 10, 11, 12, because for everything else, it's fourth quarter. For everything else, it's a fourth quarter. So we got only 12 combinations here. So first month, if this value, if the month is January, I'll get first quarter. Second, February, first. Third, March, first. April, May, June, second. July, August, September, third. October, November, December. For everything else, it's 4. I'm going to close this parenthesis and press enter. I should be getting a 4 here. And I get an answer here, 4. And in Excel, we type formula only once and then we copy. And I'm going to copy this down to all the different dates here. And I'll still get the same answer here. So we are getting the same answer, exactly the same answer over here. And I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can watch it, how the function is used. Expose this for you. So take a look at this, how this function is used. And if you have any query, just put this in the chat box and I'll take it from there. So we saw how we use the switch function, and we may have another example over here for the switch function. Relatively, it's a new function. So over here, if we scroll to the right, so we have already put in a function here. Let me remove that for you. So we got various GPAs score over here for several employees, so several students. We got their IDs, hardly matters. And we have their GPAs. And we want to be able to convert these GPAs into a letter grade. Now, if your score is 4 or 3.5 and above, you should get A. If your score is 2.5 and 3, you should get B. If it is 1.5 and 2, you should get C. If it is 0.5 and 1, you should get D. And it may be possible you have score less than 0.5. So in that case, it should be marked as a fail. So what we want to do over here is we can use this switch function over here to convert these GPAs into a letter grade, like we just did over here, converted those ratings into the numerical score. We can use the same functionality to convert those GPA scores into the letter grade. And how we are going to do that? Let's take a look at this. First, we need to take the integer from these numbers here. So what we want to do is we want to add 0.5. So we are simply going to add 0.5 in these numbers. So I'm going to take these number equal this plus 0.5. I press enter, get an answer. And you might say why we are adding 0.5, because we have a 0.5 slab over here. Every slab is 0.5. And then when we add 0.5, we will take the integer value. We'll drop off the decimal portion. So how do we drop the decimal portion? There's a function called integer. And integer will take the integer value. And we close the parentheses, we get an answer. It will simply drop off the decimal portion. We got only the numbers before the decimal. So we got 2, 3, 4. Now it's easy to switch these numbers. We got only 1, 2, 3 combinations. So I'm going to use a switch function over here. Switch what? Whatever expression is what? Whatever number we are getting by using this function. If this number is, if it is 4, if the value is 4, we get, result will be A. If the value is 4, we get A. So A, I'm going to put in double quotes. If it is 3, I should get B. If it is 2, I should get C, and if it is 1, I should get D, and for everything else it should be fail. Now you might say why we are taking 1, 2, 3, 4, because we have already added 0.5. So if you see here, we got a slab of 0.5. So we already added 0.5 in there. So I'm going to press enter, you get an answer C. And if copy this down, you get an answer. 0.1, of course, or 0.3, of course, it will be fail. So switch function is a lookup, is a family of a lookup and reference function, although specifically it's a logical function. Now, if I go to the formulas tab and if I go to lookup and reference, you will not see switch function here. Sort by, take, to column, to row, transpose. It's not there in lookup and reference function, but it is in the family of lookup and reference function. And where are you going to find this? In logical function. Over here you'll see switch function. So switch has a role to play, and specifically when it's a logical function, and it has its several uses, and we see in some of these examples. I hope these will be helpful to understand and make sense where in your data you can use this. Of course, whenever you want to use it, make sure your table is a small table, not a big table, and these values, the expressions, unlike the switch function or the choose function here, has to be smaller number. So it can't be have a bigger table like maybe 100 rows. Very difficult. Of course, you will get an answer. That's not a problem. But you want to stay away from all these. You'll always have a nagging feeling you might have missed something. So in the smaller kind of a data, yes, switch function and choose function should give a try. Okay, now let's move on to the match function. Now, sometimes what happens is you have a list, a huge list, and you have some numbers that you want to find out. So instead of finding them using Control F and taking time in order to find those numbers, it may take some time. But let's say we got some Aadhaar numbers here, and just a friendly reminder, these are random generated numbers. We got around 30 of those, and we want to find a couple of these Aadhaar numbers. Do these numbers exist here? We don't know. We need to find out. And we need to find out very easily. Let's see if we can find out that if these numbers actually exist here. So what do? We can use a function called match. We directly want to match this. Match, M-A-T-C-H. Lookup value, of course, now you know what a lookup value means. Lookup value is this value. What is the value you want looking up? Comma. Where are you looking? I'm looking here in column A. Comma. Where is the parameter? Here is the parameter. Match type. Now, match type is very important here when you're using a match function. You want to find a less than match, a greater than match using a negative integer, or an exact match. Remember, 0 is exact, 0 is false. And I'm going to find an exact match and press enter. You'll get an answer. Now you might say, sir, what is 7? And I copy this down. 7, 13, 29. What is 7 here? 7 is the row number where your answer is. 13 is the row number where your answer is. 29 is the row number where your answer is. So these are the row numbers. That shows that, okay, you will get an answer in the form of a row number where your answer is. And you might ask me that, okay, is there a way we can get an answer exactly using a row number? Yes, there is. And we will be covering that in the next chapter when we move on to the index function. But as we see over here, match is a pretty simple function, pretty easy function, which helps you to actually match a respective value from a huge list of numbers. So it's a valuable tool. And in the upcoming chapter, we will see how we can connect, add, index, and match them, match together over there. We can take an advantage of those. So it is giving us a row number. Remember, this is very helpful. It is giving an answer in the form of a row number, which a row number has our answer. In the index chapter, let's move on to this chapter here in the index. And I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can watch this carefully. Keep an eye on this. Relatively match is pretty easy. So I'm not going to spend much time on that function. But let's take a look at this index function. Now in this worksheet, we have some shipping rates. Whenever you go to post office or you want to ship something to one place to another, you go to post office or courier company, you will see a table something like this, which shows you if you want to ship, if your shipping zone, if you want to ship it to number 4 zone and the size of your package is 3, so you are going to pay 24.73. If you are shipping it to 8, zone number 8, and your size of the package is 5, you're going to pay this much. So this kind of a table is a very common table that we used to see when we go to any shipping company or when we go to for a courier who's sending packages from one city to another city. Pretty easy. Understood what we're trying to achieve here. Now we have some items here. We have the size of the items and the shipping zone. And of course, we need to calculate the cost. Of course, if the size of my package is 2 and the shipping zone is 4, I'm going to pay 20.49, 20 rupees 49 paisa. And if it is 8, size is 2. Yeah, sorry, the other way around. So the size is 2, zone is 4. Zone is 4, size is 2. You're going to pay 21.30. Size is 2, zone is 8. Size is 2, zone is 8. 43.92. Size is 1 and zone is 7. 31.80. So we can calculate this manually one by one like we just did. Or you might say, is there a formula we can use in order to get an answer? Because we have a pattern here. We are going to find out a value which is intersecting in a one particular set. So over here, we are trying to find the intersection values. So which value is getting intersected? Now, in order to find out, we'll take an advantage of the index function. Now, the function we will be using is called an index. The index function allows you to pull the data out from a list based on a row number or a column reference number. So where is the list? This is the list. This is the list that we have. So notice we are not picking numbers in column B. So let's take a look at this. So I'm going to use this function equal index. Now 2 parameters of this array. Now very simple parameters to see: array, row number, column number. So here is the array. This is the array. And because I want to copy this down, I am going to make it absolute because I don't want this list to change, this array to change, comma. Within this array, I need a row number. What is a row number? A row number is the size here. And I'm not making that absolute because I want them to change. And the column number is my zone. Here it is zone. And press enter, we get an answer, 2130. And in Excel, we type formula only once and when we copy. So we have already typed in the formula. I've already made it absolute. I'm going to select it, double click, and maybe increase the decimal. So we get an answer. So random checking, size is 3, size is 3, and zone is 4. Zone is 4. I should be getting 2473, which is correct. So it's always good to do a sample check of your answers to see if that is working fine. So as we see here, index function allows you to pull an information based on a row number or a column reference number. Shipping rates. Now, uh, index function is very, very helpful. Now, if I go back here, match function. Now, I'm going to use this function, match function, along with the index function. So, I have this row number and I need a column number. So, let's say I put an index number, index array. Where is the array? This is the array, comma, row number. A row number I'm getting from the match function. So here it is the row number. And column number. Now it doesn't say column index number. Remember in VLOOKUP, it said column index number. Here it says column number. Now, what is column number? My column number is 0. It's the first column. So I'm going to put in 1. And let's see what do we get. And I get an exact Aadhaar number. So of course it is not formatted. I'm going to format it. And over here, I'm going to copy this down. I get exact Aadhaar number. So what we have done here is we have converted. I'm going to expose this formula for you. So what we done here is we have actually used the row number. In match function, we got the row number, right? So with the row number, we have used the index function. Because we had a row number, we needed a column number. Column number is the same number. So if I type here, maybe I'm going to insert it and maybe I type here name, just a random. Maybe I type here A, B, C, D, E, F, and I'm going to copy this down, right? So, or maybe I'll type in A here, B here, C here. And let's see what do we get. Yeah, copy cells. So if I need answer from second row, second column. So I'm gonna first, the array is this, and lookup array is, I'm gonna change it, this one, and I'm gonna change it to 2. So I've got an answer C. So it can be anything. And over here, A. So based on the row number and column reference where the intersection is happening, I am getting an answer. So this intersection is happening in the row number 7. Here it is C. And if I type here, maybe let's say, if I type here, maybe something else, let's say I type here a name, you'll get my name. So of course, as we see here, how this will be helpful when you don't have the ability to use the VLOOKUP function. Index and match together are an alternative to a VLOOKUP function as well. So if you're using 2016 and the before version, not 365, you won't have, and your data is not correct, maybe because for the VLOOKUP, you need to make sure your answers on the right side. But sometimes it's not useful or it's not possible to rearrange the rows or columns. So in those cases, these index and match function actually work as a workaround or an alternative to the VLOOKUP function. If you can't use the VLOOKUP function, it is always suggested to get an answer using index and match. So it doesn't matter whether your answer is in right or left, you will get an answer. So I'm going to move on to the next chapter here. We did index. Let's move on to the XLOOKUP. Hopefully we will be finishing it soon today. Like in this situation over here, let's take a look at this. I think the one of the most powerful function is the XLOOKUP function. So if you start using the XLOOKUP function, you will not be using the VLOOKUP or the HLOOKUP again. Now this function is a very powerful function, and it contains the ability of both the functions, HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP. And it's a fairly new function here. By difference between both of these functions, the VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, by default, they are approximate match. But XLOOKUP by default is an exact match because people use exact match more often than the approximate match. So I'll not take much time. Let's dive into the action first and let's take a look. It's a very easy function. Watch it very carefully. I've got some names here. I've got some ratings here. I've got a rate table. Of course, I need to convert these ratings into numerical score. I can use VLOOKUP function, right? I can use a VLOOKUP function over here and I can get an answer. But let's assume my rating is here. Now what do we do? Now can I use a VLOOKUP function? No. And you might say, okay, we just learned we can use the index and match function. Yes, we can do that. Nothing wrong with it. You know how to use it? Yes, you can get an answer. But the idea is I need some examples to show you how to use XLOOKUP as well. So if you're using 365, remember XLOOKUP is only available for 365 users. So I'm going to use the XLOOKUP function equal XLOOKUP. Now you might see a lot of parameters, but don't worry. Watch very carefully. Lookup value. You already know what is the lookup value. What is that we want to look up? This value, fair. I want to find fair. Lookup array, where do you want to find it? I want to find it in column B, right? So let's say I want to find it in column B over here. And I'm going to make it absolute because I want to copy this down. And return array, where is your answer? My answer is in column A. I'm making it absolute again. And now what? That's it. Press enter, you will get an answer. Only 3 parameters. What do you want to find? Where you want to find? Where is your answer? Again, I'll do it again. This time I'm gonna unmerge it so we can see it very carefully. Equal XLOOKUP. What is the value that we want to look up? This. Where do you want to look up fair? Where do you want to match fair? In column B. Where is your answer? In column A. Enter, you get an answer. And in Excel, we type formula only once and then we copy this. Now, of course, we got lousy here. We don't have lousy in here. So, XLOOKUP has an ability, the if error function. We can use if error. If this returns an error, we can change it to something else. But I don't need to use if error because if error function is built into this XLOOKUP. Now, XLOOKUP, in other words, saying that if not found, remember this is an optional. So you may use it because you're using an exact match. So in exact match, you may not always get an answer. In approximate, it doesn't happen. In approximate match, you will always get an answer. But in exact match, you may or may not get an answer because if it is not there, you will not get an answer. So if not found, I should get not found and close the parentheses, press enter, you get an answer, copy this down. Here we go. Very simple, pretty easy to use. What is the value? Where you want to find it? Not found. And there, of course, there are other parameters too. Let's take a look. Match mode and search mode. That's not important. That's not important right now. This is an exact match. How we use it in exact match. Let's take a look at the approximate match. Over here, we have some employees, their Aadhaar numbers and their compensation. Remember, these are all random generated numbers, not a real Aadhaar number. I'm sure I did not put your number there. So we got some time. We need to calculate a tax rate here. We got some slabs here. Of course, this is an example of approximate match. So I'm going to calculate a tax rate here. So I'm going to use XLOOKUP and lookup value. Of course, this compensation. Where do you want to find this compensation? In column Q. Where is your answer? In column R. Now I need to use the parameter, the match mode, which is important because it is going to find, otherwise it is going to find the exact match and I will not get an answer because we don't have exact compensations. So of course we need to find an approximate match. Now in VLOOKUP, it has the ability, is designed in such a way that it will always give you the previous lower value. So if your compensation is 55,387, you will end up paying maybe 3.5% because it is more than 55,000 and less than 65,000. But you have an option to get a higher value as well in XLOOKUP or the previous lower value as well. So if not found, now in approximate match, it doesn't make sense because it will ultimately find something, because not found will only come in the exact match. In approximate match, not found does not exist because it will find something. It's an approximate. So I'm going to skip it, just putting a comma there. Now it says exact match. If you want to find an exact match, of course, that's a default. So 0 means exact, we know that. We don't want to use exact. Exact match or next smaller item. So if you want to use a smaller item, you put -1, not a 1. Otherwise, in VLOOKUP, you use 1 for approximate match. You can also get a larger item. Wildcard match is out of scope for this training. So I'm going to use a next smaller item. So I'm going to put -1 and press enter. And of course, this is not formatted correctly. I'm going to format it. And it is spilling 55,000. And here it is, 3%. Yeah. And we get an answer. So, and in Excel, we type formula only once and then we copy this down. So we get an answer. So it is matching and giving us an answer together. And we also have an option to get a next higher value as well. So if I put a 1 here, which is a next larger value, it will give us 3.5. Which value? 65,000. It is giving you it is also showing the slab which is happening, and it is also showing the number, next higher value. Let me do that. So the value is 120. It's not a part of it, so there's no tax, no higher value. So of course I want to go back and put a minus in front of it to get a previous lower value. And it is showing us which value it is taking and what is the percentage. So it is spilling over to the next column. Make sure you have another column empty. The next column should be empty. If there is a data here, you will get a spill error. So this is how the XLOOKUP function is used, as we saw several uses of the XLOOKUP function using the exact match and an approximate match. So I hope you will find it useful and try to use VLOOKUP or try to use XLOOKUP instead of a VLOOKUP function more often. And if you're using a previous version of Excel like 2016, try to use index and match function together to see if that works instead of rearranging the rows or columns to make your VLOOKUP function work. So these functions does not require any groundwork to be done. You have these functions right there, and then you can use it as easy as you want. So XLOOKUP is a very revolutionary function, and it's going to change the way most of us use VLOOKUP or the XLOOKUP function. So it's a very powerful function, includes both the capabilities of the VLOOKUP, approximate and exact match, and XLOOKUP function. With this, I thank you very much for joining in today on the live learn switch function, match function, index, and XLOOKUP. Thank you very much. See you next week.